Hello everyone, I'm here with a video on the chapter The Beggar by Anton Chekhov, and this video is for the students of class 9. This video has got all the question and answers that can be asked from the chapter. So before beginning with the question and answers, I want to tell you that there is already a video available that is based on line by line explanation of the chapter. You can go through the playlist of class 9 and find that video. So not delaying any further, let's start with the question and answers. Question 1. The beggar was a liar. What two lies did he tell Sergei? When the beggar met Sergei for the first time, he told him that he was a student and had been expelled from the college. When he met Sergei for the second time, he told him that he was a school teacher who had been a victim of a conspiracy and had lost his job, and that he had no job for last 1 year, had not eaten for last 3 days, and did not have even 5 copper coins to seek a lodging. Now, when he had been offered a position in Kaluga, he had no money for the fare to get there. Question 2. How did Sergei recognize the beggar? Sergei looked at the beggar. His face appeared familiar to him. He tried to recollect where he had seen him. Suddenly, his eyes fell on the beggar's shoes. One shoe was high and the other was low. Now he clearly remembered where he had seen the beggar before. He had seen the beggar in Sadovya Street. Question 3. What kind of work was given to Lushkov initially? Why did he agree to do it? Sergei refused to give alms to Lushkov the beggar. He offered to give him work. He took him home and gave him the work of chopping wood. Lushkov agreed to do this work not because he was hungry and wanted work. He agreed to do it because of pride and shame and because he had been trapped by his own words. Question 4. How did Olga treat Lushkov in the beginning? Why did she do this? In the beginning, Olga treated Lushkov callously. She called him a drunkard. She rebuked him. Then she would sit before him and grow sad. She looked into his face and wept. Then she chopped wood for him. She did so because she felt pity for him. Secondly, she wanted to put him on the right path. Question 5. Was Lushkov not good at chopping wood? The answer is no. Lushkov was not good at chopping wood. He pulled a piece of wood towards him. He put it between his legs. He hit the wood feebly with his axe. The piece of wood became unsteady and fell down. He again pulled it and struck it. The piece of wood again fell down. This shows that Lushkov did not know how to chop wood. Question 6. Describe the physical appearance of Lushkov when Sergei observes him in his yard. Sergei observed Lushkov closely when the latter came to his yard, asking for alms. At that time, Lushkov had a ragged appearance. He had worn a fawn-colored overcoat and his eyes were dull and drunken. There was a red spot on either cheek. He looked every bit a disgusting beggar. Question 7. Has Lushkov become a beggar by circumstance or by choice? The answer is Lushkov has become a beggar not by choice but by circumstance. He was a singer in a Russian choir but was sent away for his drunkenness. Alcoholism had made him weak and he could not toil, so he took to begging for survival. Question 8. How did Sergei come to remember that he had met the beggar before? A close look at the beggar's face made Sergei think that he had seen the man somewhere before. Then his eyes fell on his overshoes, one of which was high and the other was low. This made Sergei remember suddenly that he had seen the beggar in Sadovia Street a couple of days before. Question 9. Is Leshkov a willing worker? Why then does he agree to chop wood for Sergei? Leshkov is not a willing worker since alcohol has made him very weak both physically and emotionally. Still, he agrees to do the menial job of chopping wood because of his pride and shame. Earlier, he had expressed his willingness to do any work provided he was offered one, and now he could not go back on his own words. Question 10. How did Sergei feel after he saw Leshkov chopping wood? Sergei didn't feel angry anymore after he saw Leshkov chopping wood. Instead, he felt a little sorry and ashamed at having given a tough task of wood chopping to Leshkov, who seemed to him a spoilt drunkard and probably a sick man. It was difficult for him to do such a menial task in the severe cold. Question 11. What remuneration was paid to Leshkov for chopping wood for the first time? What additional offer was made at this time? The answer is Sergei paid him half a ruble as remuneration to the beggar for chopping wood and instructed Olga to tell him that if he wanted, he could come back and chop wood on the first day of each month. Question 12. Why did Leshkov return to the yard on the first of the month? Why did he reappear often? The answer is Leshkov returned to the yard on the first of the month in order to chop wood and earn 1 ruble in return. He reappeared often because every time he used to be given odd jobs like shoveling snow, putting the woodshed in order, and beating the dust out of rugs and mattresses. The money he thus got helped him to survive. Question 13. Why did Leshkov become embarrassed when he came to assist Sergei move to another house? Leshkov became embarrassed when he came to assist Sergei move to another house because he could not help in any way. He simply walked behind the wagons, hanging his head and shivered in the cold. The other carters mocked at his idleness, feebleness and his tattered fancy overcoat. Question 14. Sergei says, I am happy that my words have taken effect. Why does he say so? Is he right in saying this? Sergei says so because Leshkov looked sober and seemed to have helped in the packing and hauling of furniture. He is partially right in saying this because his constant support had at least given Leshkov an option to quit his disgusting life as a beggar. Question 15. Which cleaner employment did Sergei arrange for Leshkov? How? Sergei sent Leshkov to his friend with a letter of recommendation for some copying work. This was a cleaner employment in comparison to wood chopping. As a part of his advice, he told Leshkov to work hard and not to drink. Question 16. Where did Sergei meet Leshkov after 2 years? What did Leshkov tell him about himself? Sergei saw Leshkov under a period of 2 years, after a period of 2 years at the ticket window of a theatre. Leshkov was wearing a coat collar of curly fur and a worn sealskin cap. He was buying a ticket for a gallery seat for himself. He told Sergei that he was a notary officer and earned 35 rubles a month. Question 17. Why did Sergei call Leshkov his godson? The answer is Sergei called Leshkov his godson because he had given him a push along the right path and his efforts had lifted him out of the pit of begging. He had shown interest in Lushkov's life and had felt happy to see him reformed. Question 18. Why does Lushkov acknowledge Olga's contribution in reforming him? Lushkov is grateful to Sergei for employment, but he gives true credit for his reformation to Olga, Sergei's cook. Outwardly, Olga is full of anger and spite, but her heart is full of human sympathy and kindness. While she severely scolds Lushkov for being a miserable drunkard, she weeps for him and chops wood for him. She is the chief reason why Lushkov gives up his bad habits and transforms into a hard-working man. Question 19. What values did Olga exhibit while saving the life of Lushkov? Olga, Sergei's seemingly ill-tempered cook, had been the main motivating factor behind Lushkov's positive change. She saved him by rousing the positivity in him that had not suppressed due to his that had got suppressed due to his alcoholism. She scolded him, cursed him, but also shed tears for him and suffered misery for his sake. Outwardly, she expressed disgust for Lushkov but went out of her way to help him reform himself. She risked the displeasure of her master Sergei by hiding the truth about the odd jobs assigned to Lushkov. She gave true human affection to him and showed both pity and concern. Her affection is exhibited by the fact that she chops wood for him so that he can earn some money to feed himself and stay alive. It is Olga's sincere selfless efforts that finally gives Lushkov a lease of life. Lushkov too remembers her with gratitude for her kind words and her noble deeds. Question 20. What are the different ways in which the writer refers to Lushkov and why? The writer refers to Lushkov by numerous derogatory terms. He calls him a suppliant, mendicant, beggar, ragged creature, swindler, scarecrow of a beggar, pseudo-teacher, spoiled, drunken, sick man, waif, miserable creature, unlucky man, and unhappy man. He does so to convey to the reader the miserable plight into which Lushkov had sunken himself owing to his alcohol addiction. These derogatory terms not only highlight a character marred by alcoholic habits but also amplify his improvement later in the story. This technique of employing contrast is used by the writer to make the reader realize that alcoholism ruins an individual completely. His reformation thus gains significance because of varied adjectives that indicate his depravity. It also emphasizes the impact of compassion and concern while rehabilitating an addict. It eventually builds faith that transformation is possible if a person is made to realize his mistakes and is given proper support and effective counseling. Thank you. I hope this video was helpful to you. Do take good care of yourself, and yes, if possible, you also try to transform at least one person in your lifetime. All the best.